Okay, leaves.
Leaves.
So one part of the chapter you talk about damaged leaves and how people might look at damaged leaves to diagnose what's wrong with a plant. And
Okay.
I think you caution against trying to play doctor using that indication.
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on what the damage is, right? So there are lots of memes out there that tell you to look at the leaves, and based on coloration and whether it's yellow or whether the veins are green and the center part is yellow and so on, you can determine deficiencies, nutrient deficiencies. Okay, those are all wrong. Okay, you cannot look at a plant and figure out what the deficiency is.
Right.
Right. Well, there's probably one or two exceptions, but for a general rule of thumb, you cannot do that.
Yeah, yeah. You'll see this on the garden groups on Facebook all the time. Hey, what's wrong with my plant? And I'll have a picture of their plant. And everybody will say, oh, you need calcium, you need this, you need that. Just based on looking at some picture. Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't work. It's all over the internet. It just doesn't work. Now, what does work is if the leaf is actually damaged, say, by insects who've been chewing on it, or diseases, and you see damage from those two things, then what you're seeing helps you identify what is doing the damage.
Right.
It may not be easy, but like leaf cutter bees, for instance, are very distinct. They make these round circles at the edge of a leaf, and you can see that.
Right, right.
Some
Yeah.
some fungal diseases will make quite round holes. You'll get a brown spot. First it goes kind of yellow spot, and then it goes a brown spot, and then the whole thing falls out, and you end up with this round hole in the middle of your leaf. And so those sorts of things are quite good for diagnosing pests and diseases.
I think flea beetle is another obvious one.
Yeah.
But I think there's another thing you said in the book about your inclination as a gardener is to remove damaged leaves.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about that.
Yeah, so this is very common advice, and I even see it all over government websites in the US, right? Extension offices that are generally giving you good gardening advice.
Yeah.
And many of them will tell you to remove these leaves. If your rose gets black spot, start removing the leaves. Mildew, start removing the leaves. And don't leave them in your garden. Put them in the garbage bin. Don't compost those, because then you keep the diseases. And for the most part, that's actually bad advice. Okay, you're not going to stop these diseases. By the time you see them, they've been there for quite a while, and they're everywhere. So by the time you see mildew on a leaf, it's already been there probably a month, the spores. And the spores are on the leaves and stems, the soil, they're everywhere. Pulling off one or two leaves is not going to make any difference to the plant. Now, there is a point where it may make some sense. So we have this big leaf, and we start seeing some mildew along the edges. What I tend to do is leave the leaf, because most of the leaf is green and it's still working for the plant, right? If it's
gathering
green,
energy,
it's photosynthesizing, it's making food. We want to keep that. Now, once you reach a point where 80% of the leaf is covered in mildew, that leaf is no longer very productive. And pulling it off at that point isn't going to harm the plant, right? But you might as well compost it, because now you have mildew everywhere. So I think that advice is bad. In fact, I just this weekend talked to someone who teaches horticulture, and I asked him about it, and he agreed with me. He says, there's no point removing all these diseased leaves from your property, because everything is diseased by fall. If you removed every piece of plant material that was diseased, you wouldn't never have anything to put in your compost pile.
Well, right? It's like there isn't mildew in your compost.
That's right. I mean, I think people we don't understand that these spores are so small, and the huge quantities, they're covering everything in the garden. Right? Yeah. So bottom line is, don't really worry about it.
Yeah, I remember. I had a guy come to drop some wood chips off at my house, and they'd been sitting in his truck for a while. Yeah. And I was helping him, and I went into the back. He's got a box truck, and I went into the truck. He said, "Don't go in there. You got to wear a mask. Yeah, it's all this stuff." and if you breathe it, you said you'll feel like hell for days. And it's some sort of mildew, mold and mildew inside the wood chips, just naturally there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm going to spread it all over my garden, and everything's going to grow great, So,
Well,
but don't breathe it.
his advice was actually good,
Yes.
because when you have wood chips sitting for a while, they get a lot of fungal growth on them, and they make
Yeah.
lots of spores.
Yeah.
And spores can make you sick. They can make you very sick.
Yeah.
They can irritate your eyes, and so it is recommended that you wear a dust mask if you're
Yes.
working with wood chips a lot. Like if it's a couple of days a year sort of thing, I wouldn't worry too much. But if you do this on a more regular basis, it's actually very good advice to keep those spores out. Right?
Yes.
It will affect our lungs.
Yes. Especially shoveling it inside of a box truck.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere, right? Okay, so there's that. Now, so I mean, the advice is, yeah, it's a damaged leaf, even if it's been attached by a pest or something like that. This is still a photosynthesis machine, and so as long as, I mean, it's one thing if you want it to look pretty or you're taking pictures or something like that, but
Right.
generally speaking, if your whole point is to get as much energy into that plant as you can, don't take away the energy system, right?
Yeah. My general rule of thumb is if it's green, leave it on the plant.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Once it goes yellow or brown or something, you can do whatever you want with it, because it's of no use to the plant now.
Yes.
But if most of the leaf is green, leave it.
Hey, if you want to help support everything I'm doing here, go to Vessies.com to buy whatever you need for your garden this year. Use my coupon code GAVS23 to get free shipping as long as there's a pack of seeds in the order and there's no oversized items in the order. Check out the description box of this video for details. You can buy everything you need from Vessies. They have seeds, fruit bushes and trees, soil amendments, pest solutions, tools, clothing, and lots of other stuff too. So yeah, if you want to help support everything I'm doing here and they sell something you need, buy it from them using my coupon code, and happy gardening.